Hey, Wolves fans, for my first free agent breakdown, I decided to dive into Richaun Holmes. Richaun Holmes is a 6'10", 235-pound big man. He spent this last season in Sacramento, and as you'll see here, he is an explosive leaper, an explosive dunker, and really a rim threat that the Wolves haven't had for a decade. There's been a lot of talk about what piece fits best next to Karl Anthony Towns. We've talked a lot about whether that's another big or whether that's kind of more of a wing style player. Here with Richaun Holmes, we're going to talk about how a big man, a guy who can roll to the rim, who can set screens, who can give verticality and apply pressure to defenses as a rim runner, why that's an exciting fit on this team. In addition to the fit defensively, Richaun Holmes is a really, really good defensive player, and the mobility is the number one thing that jumps off the page. There you see him block James Harden. Here you see him make with a help defense play on John Wall. He's just a solid defender who's got the mobility to play alongside Cat. When you think about the two big system, if the Wolves were to kind of shift that way, you'd need a mobile big. You'd need a big who can guard some fours some nights and who can guard some fives other nights. And Richaun Holmes provides that defensive versatility. And he's an incredible rim protector. 8.7 rim contests per 75 possessions for Richaun Holmes. That ranks in the 86th percentile among bigs. So you can see him kind of deterring defenders by protecting the rim. 8.7 is a lot to have per game. He's an impactful defender, and he can really would fit well on this Wolves team that kind of lacks shot blocking. Karl Anthony Towns and Naz Reid are okay shot blockers, not great shot blockers. Jaden McDaniels is an outstanding shot blocker for his position, but he's not really that true five-man who's gonna protect the rim and erase points the way you see Richaun Holmes erase points. He's a really smart defender, a really active defender. He makes a lot of plays as a help defender. He makes a lot of plays as a pick-and-roll defender. He's an excellent rebounder. He's in the 90th percentile for defensive rebounding among big men and the 88th percentile for offensive rebounding. And so when you talk about kind of the physicality of his game, the ability to go get balls, the ability to protect the rim, he's really gonna be the linchpin of a defense, whatever defense he's on. And now Sacramento's defense has struggled this year, but I don't think you can write that off to Holmes. I think they've had really tough guards. Their depth is really, really bad defensively. And when Harrison Barnes or Richaun Holmes have been on the floor, they've actually been a little bit better defensively. So you can see how he would fit well with Karl Anthony Towns, with Jaden McDaniels, with that front court. You can imagine a lot of length. I mean, that's a huge front court, but with a lot of mobility for their size. That's an intriguing kind of combination for Wolves fans who've seen the Wolves kind of go smaller over the last few years. They've had Robert Covington as a power forward, Dario Saric spent some time at power forward. I mean, you talk about this year we've had Jared Vanderbilt, Jaden McDaniels play a lot of power forward. Jake Layman and Juancho Hernan-Gomez are undersized for the position. And so when you talk about kind of shifting the focus and finding ways to improve this team beyond the guys originally on this roster right now, Richaun Holmes adds some skills that would fit really, really, really well on this team that aren't there now. The Wolves kind of lack a player like this right now, and so that's why I think when you're looking out in free agency this year, when you're looking for what guys fit best, a guy who can protect the rim like this, can see Richaun Holmes being that agent that adds on to this defense. The other thing that jumps out is the rim pressure. He really, really can put pressure on the rim as a rim runner. And even with limited passers, you got guys like Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton who are good passers but can't really get to the rim, and so they're limited in the passes they can make. And you see him really excel off of those guys. And then De'Aaron Fox the same way. You see Richaun Holmes thrive in those situations too. And so what I was really impressed by is his ability to be a lob threat. The Wolves have not had a real true lob threat in a long time. I mean, Jared Vanderbilt can do that every now and again, and Karl Anthony Towns and Naz Reid have each had I think one or two lobs this year, but there's not been kind of a consistent pressure on the rim that way. When you can open up the vertical space that way, the way Richaun Holmes can, that's exciting. That fits really well on this team, and he would be kind of additive in that way. In that again, they don't have anyone who can do what he can do on that end. When you talk about the distance of the pass, It's really interesting to see how these Kings guards, Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton, and De'Aaron Fox can throw these passes from above the break, and watch Richaun Holmes just collapse that space so quickly. He's an outstanding finisher. He's got impressive body contortion is one thing I noticed. He shoots 74% within 4 feet of the rim, which is an impressive mark. And he's really calm and composed in those situations. I've got some really good stats on it. His roll man efficiency. He scores 1.34 points per possession as a roll man, which is in the 93rd percentile among bigs, and you can see that borne out on the tape. He averages 5 roll man possessions per 75 possessions, which is in the 94th percentile. So you can see that he's a high volume roll man. He's the guy who kind of makes his bread and butter off setting screens and diving to the rim. And that's a skill set that this Wolves team could use desperately to put the pressure on the rim that way in a consistent way. He averages 5.4 screen assists, which I think is interesting. That's in the 80th percentile among big men. It's not an elite number, but it's an impressive number, a good number, a number that would stand out on this Wolves roster. And then when you look at some more advanced statistics, if you go to the Basketball Index, is a really, really good website that there is. I'll put a link in the description here. They've got a statistic called Total Roll Man Impact, which measures how a big rolls to the rim, how they slip, and how they pop, and how all those different reads out of the pick and roll, how they can kind of impact games out of each of them. And his total roll man impact is in the 96th percentile among bigs. I mean, that's just an elite number. He's really, really one of the best roll men in the league. They also have a stat that's just purely roll impact. So just the rolls, it cuts out the slips and the pops. Again, he's in the 96th percentile. So when you just cut it down to just who can really put pressure on the rim that way, he's elite as a roll man. His finishing at the rim rating is another rating that they have. He's in the 94th percentile, and you can see why that is. He's a really, really good finisher for a big man, and you can see how he's got kind of those alley-oops, those above the rim finishes, and then he's also got impressive below the rim finishes. And then let's talk about this floater, this push shot. This is one of the most unique shots in the NBA. Very few big men are hitting this consistently. Since 2019, Richaun Holmes is shooting 56.8% from 4 to 14 feet, 179 out of 315. That's an incredible percentage for a big man. I mean, there are guards who that would be even okay for a guard at the rim, within 4 feet of the rim. And for Richaun Holmes to have that kind of percentage from 4 to 14 feet is really impressive. And when he gets out there, some of these floaters look like they're from beyond the free throw line. You look at one like that's right on the border. He shoots 51.2% since 2019, 42 of 82 from 14 feet to 3. And so he's just got incredible touch, 51.2%. That's an elite mark. He's got really, really, really impressive coordination here on these shots. He's built this into kind of a brand. You can see that defenses have keyed in on that, and that's opened up other things for his teammates and for his game at the rim. And this is a really it's an additive shot. It's something that you when you have most rim runners, what they're going to do, they're going to put pressure on the rim, and so you're going to have to make the pass to the roll man deep towards the basket. What Richaun Holmes can do with this shot, you can make the pass to him above the break, you can make the pass to him at the free throw line, and he's going to complete those plays because he's got such incredible touch on these floaters. He shoots 62.5% on what NBA.com classifies as floating jump shots, that's an unheard of percentage. That would be an impressive percentage to shoot at the rim, and he shoots that on floaters, which is just a remarkable statistic. One of the really unique statistics in the league this year, over the last couple of years, is how good Richaun Holmes is at this shot and how that kind of stands out when you look at his overall game. He's that kind of scoring. He's not a 3-level scorer. He doesn't shoot from 3, although I think this touch kind of implies that he could someday. But what really stands out is that he's got the ability to get to the rim and roll to the rim hard and put pressure on the basket as a roll man, but also to kind of space the floor a little bit in terms of spacing in the interior, in terms of creating lanes to the basket for drivers and whatnot. He's able to, when he's standing there at the free throw line, that opens up lanes to the rim for Anthony Edwards, for D'Angelo Russell, for the other guys around him. So I think that Richaun Holmes is a great fit on this Wolves team.